So, man, I was talking to this guy. He made me think about something about violence. So the guy gave me a big flat screen TV. At the time, he thought something was wrong with the TV. Basically, it was just the settings was wrong on the TV and some of the cords were wrong. I still have that TV and still watch it. But anyways, he was asking me one day what I used the TV for. And I said I play video games on it. He asked me which one. I told him Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. And he said, "Oh, that game is violent. Why, you're a killer. Why would you want to murder people?" And I said, "Huh? Are you serious, dude? How did I murder anybody? It's a video game, okay?" And it was actually, he was serious. He was very serious. But man, it made me think. Back in the 90s, you had a guy who was running around talking about, I think, Jack Thompson. And he was talking about violence in video games. He was big about Mortal Kombat, certain other games that was on Sega Genesis for all you guys who grew up in the 90s. And he was the same thing. He was blaming violence on video games and on popular forms of entertainment. You have a lot of people do that. You have a lot of religious people that do that. The problem with that, man, is I'm not going to sit here and tell you that popular forms of entertainment don't have their problems or that they can't teach negative values. If you want to sit up here and you want to blame them for certain things and not promoting certain negative behaviors in our society, I will agree with you on that. Okay, some of the, when it comes to foul language or certain things, like popular entertainment forms of entertainment do get used as a form of social engineering. Okay, you have government, you have certain special interest groups who will go out there and make TV shows or movies to push their values, and those values can be negative. Okay, but you can't blame popular forms of entertainment for all of the problems in society, and I think that's what we like to do at some point. Back in the violence and crime actually peaked from the 1960s or 1970s to 1990s. Okay, but I know about the 1990s, crime started dropping. Okay, now there are many different reasons as to why people say it dropped. Okay, one of the things is better policing. The police got much better at telling where they need to use their resources are at. Okay, what areas of the crime, predicting what crime would be and stuff. They got a lot better over the years of doing that. Then you had a lot more community policing. You had more people like Neighborhood Watch, more people taking an interest in their community, reporting things to the police. Okay, and as crime started dropping in some of these cities, more companies start coming back in and setting up shop, which helped a lot. But the problem is, man, we want to blame popular entertainment for all the problems, the ills in society, and you can't do that all the time. Okay, now if you want to say video games, movies, or TV, certain TV is what made people violent, you have to take up the other situations out of there, other mitigating factors. Okay, what about mental illness? How many mentally ill people have went around and committed crimes, and somebody, oh, look at this, they say they watched Natural Born Killers and they love these violent movies and violent video games, but they will never talk about the fact that these people had a history of mental illness, which means their mental illness is not being diagnosed or taken care of. You have a lot of people who walk around with a mental illness and won't say anything because they don't want to be considered mentally ill or looked at, treated differently. Okay, that's a problem. You have a lot of problems with poverty. You have these neighborhoods where there's a lot of poverty, a lot of people unemployed, and there's a lack of jobs. Well, when there's no jobs, guess what? People still have to eat. They still have to take care of themselves. It creates a greater emphasis to go out there and commit crimes. Okay. Now a lot of these neighborhoods too, man. If there's no jobs out there for people, well, the drug dealer he's gonna employ people. He's gonna hire people. You don't need a perk card to work for the drug dealer. You don't need a long job history. You don't need any of that. He's gonna hire you. Okay, he's gonna hire you. Okay, and these drug dealers, they create a lot of crime because they have to protect their turf. Okay, you have people coming in there trying to sell in their turf, so they gotta kill some people. Okay. And at the end of the day, that's just the way it is. So, high levels of poverty help increase crime. Another problem, man, and this is something. This is one thing that a lot of people seen a twist when you say it. Single parent household does help increase crime. It increase degeneracy. Okay, a lot of people when you say, "Hey man, being in a single parent household, especially without a father, it causes a higher rate. It's a higher chance of a child becoming problematic, for that child to become a criminal and do certain things, get into certain bad negative behaviors." Now, but then people will say, "Listen, dude, my cousin grew up raised by his mother, and he's a doctor, and he does open heart surgery, so you don't know what you're talking about." Here's the problem. That's disingenuous. No one is saying that's going to happen all the time. Okay, that's always going to be the result. Living a single parent household, especially without your father, increases the chances that child will grow up and have certain issues interacting with other people, and get into crime. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. It's not saying all people that's going to happen in every case. It just increases the chances. Okay, but people like to twist that argument. But anyways, there, like I said, there's a lot of factors. Broken homes, mental illness, not being taken care of properly, high rates of unemployment, job opportunities, that type of thing that affect that. Like I said, I'm not saying that some of this stuff isn't negative. I don't listen to gangster rap anymore. I loved it for a while, but all of it was just about shoot this nigger, this woman a hoes. That stuff is bad. It's just bad. So I stopped listening to it. Okay. But now, did gangster rap create a lot of those problems? If you look at a lot of these guys who did gangster rap, they grew up in these negative neighborhoods. These neighborhoods of single parent households with low levels of employment opportunity. High levels of unemployment. Okay. And with a drug dealer was the job. He was the one hiring people. So in that case, these guys were inspired by a negative environment to go out there and make that music, and that music inspired more people to think that, hey, that's the way I should live. You had guys who probably grew up in a middle income neighborhood with 2-parent household, who had their needs taken care of, who wanted to go out there and be a thug because of that. Okay, but that still came from someplace. So for me, if you want to blame popular entertainment, you would have to do it. You would have to take those other factors out of the equation. Okay, it would have to be a situation where, let me say this quick: child abuse. Okay, child abuse, child neglect. How many kids go up there and they have mental problems or mental issues, and they're committing crimes, or they're acting out? They're getting physically abused by their parents, or they've been neglected. So you have to take those factors out of it. If you're going to tell me it's just video games, comic books, cartoons, and movies how we're making kids violent, committing crimes, and causing all the ills of our society, you have to take these other things out of the equation. And like I said, I'll make this video is getting a little long, so I'll make these last 2 little points. I'm not saying that popular forms of entertainment can't teach negative behaviors, okay? But they can't be. You can't say that they're wholly the problem. And like I said, if you want to talk about violence, I'm talking about violence right now, violent crime. Murder, rape, child molestation. I'm talking about crimes. I'm not talking about stuff where kids are using more profanity, or maybe they're having more babies out of wedlock, or stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about violent. I'm talking about actual crime. If you want to blame, popular forms of entertainment for crime, you have to show me these other things are in effect. You got to do a study, and you got to take some kids who are the middle income community, okay, who have 2-parent households. They're not getting abused. They don't have any mental illness, okay, where their needs are being taken care of. And then show me a study showing where they're out there, where they're violent and they're killing people and murdering and raping because of, video games or cartoons or movies. I don't think you'll be able to show me that, okay? I don't think that exists. And last but not least, one other thing I do have a problem with is when people talk about violent forms of entertainment, what I find often is that they don't have a problem with violence in entertainment. They have a problem with the violence in entertainment they don't like. So, I had a guy who hated horror movies, and he told me, "You guys are sick. You're watching these horror movies where they're killing people." But he loved Rambo movies. Okay, he loved watching Rambo. There's more killing in Rambo 3 than probably any horror movie you'll ever see, and I brought that up to him. Okay, when I was a kid, I had a relative who did not want me to watch, violent movies. But I could read the Bible. And this is not an attack on the Bible, because I love the Bible. I've actually read it many times. And actually, I need to start back reading it. But this was actually one of the most violent books. And when I was a kid, I was like, wow, I can't watch these horror movies. You don't want to be watching action movies, but I can read this. Like, dude, you got wars. You got bears eating kids. You've got fire coming down from heaven, burning people up. So I don't think it's just violence alone, man, because our whole society is steeped in violence. Okay, I'm not saying violence is a good thing. Don't get me twisted. I'm not saying it's a good thing, and that's how we should look to respond to everybody. The first thing should be, let me solve every problem through violence. But I think we've taken popular forms of entertainment and try to make them the root causes of the problems in our society, rather than instead of being the symptoms of of what's going on in the society. They're the symptoms of what's going on in the society. They're not the root causes. Okay, and like I said, people just have a problem with the violence they don't like. I don't like violence in this, but I don't like violence in books and comic books. But it's okay enough for me to watch WWF wrestling. Okay, I don't know. Just my thoughts, man. Like I said, it's just an issue with the violence people don't like. I'm okay with violence in one area, but not violence in another. And if you want to say popular forms of entertainment is the only cause of violence in our society, then you have to do a study, and you have to do a study on children, and they have to be removed from the other issues that would cause violence or cause negative degenerate behavior. So it's just my thoughts.